Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Saturday morning to you all. Hope you folks are doing awesome out there this morning and having a fantastic start to your day and weekend. Here to bring you the latest info on what's going to happen weather-wise for your Saturday. We'll speak on a few things, but I would say most of the country, most of the lower 48, is going to be pretty quiet today. A fantastic start to your weekend. For most of the country, we'll speak on a couple areas, though. I would say if you had to point to one state that was going to be the most active weather-wise today, would probably be California. But, even this system that's going to affect you guys isn't anything crazy or extraordinary or anything like that. Nothing you guys can't handle, but we will speak on details on that for you folks. And then after we do that, we'll jump ahead and start discussing severe weather upcoming over the next few days. We have a multi-day severe weather event ahead of us. Once again, that seems like that's been a common phrase. And once again, we will have like I said, just a multi-day severe weather risk coming up. And I think it's going to start tomorrow, as we do have an increased severe weather threat for like Ohio and Pennsylvania now. We did have a marginal risk up for Sunday. Now this is bumped up to a slight risk for certain areas. So we'll speak on that, talk about what's driving that. What's driving tomorrow's severe weather risk for this area of the country isn't the same thing that's going to be driving Monday and Tuesday's severe weather risk. Totally different storm, totally different setup. And speaking of that risk, we will break that down also. Everything will be time stamped out well for you folks. We'll end up flying through today's portion of the video pretty quickly just because it's not a super active day at all. So definitely take advantage of those timestamps if you just want to know what's going on with the severe weather over the next few days ahead of us. So we'll get more and more detailed on this as we know more details as they come to us. We're not really in a comfortable range of these short range models yet, but we will be the deeper we get into the weekend. So yeah, if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below so I can pray over it and so others can do so too. I'm personally asking for prayer. It's going to be a long weekend this weekend. We got 2 soccer games today, which isn't any different than any other weekend so far this past spring. If you guys didn't know, I am a head coach to my oldest girl's soccer team, but I'm also an assistant coach to my youngest girl's soccer team. She actually decided to play soccer this season. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but she actually got her first goal the last game. So it's been awesome. Both of my girls have gotten their first goal, so it's been a really cool season. A really fun season coaching, being my 3rd year. So got that out in front of us. We got 3 games left. Just asking for, good games with that and to have fun, more importantly. And then the second thing, more importantly, I'm asking for prayers for is tomorrow, Sunday evening at 6 p.m. I get ordained and officially become a deacon for the church. Of course, I was, brought in and asked to be one, but I officially become one tomorrow. Most of you folks know that. Just, I got to tell my story in front of an audience, and a little bit anxious about it. And, excuse me, I can speak in front of people pretty well. In fact, YouTube has really helped me doing that, even though I'm talking to you guys virtually. But it's really helped me with speaking and things like that. So just asking that goes well. Just a little bit nervous about that. So I know y'all will certainly pray for me there, and I certainly appreciate my weather family very much. So enough of all that, 3.5 minutes in. Let's get rocking and rolling. So this is the lower 48, and like I mentioned, we got moisture cruising and kind of grinding up against the northern and central California coastline. After this main push of rain sort of moves in at this area of low pressure, we will get just kind of sporadic in nature showers and even maybe some thunderstorms up against California. And there will be some energy that might pop off again here in like Idaho, areas of Oregon, where there is a little risk of severe weather today, but just very small. Still dealing with some pesky moisture across the northeast, even some snow flying around. Depending on your elevation, it's really elevation driven. Even 500 feet, 1,000 feet make a huge difference in this setup. Dealing with some rain out in Nova Scotia. I know I haven't talked about you folks in Atlanta, Canada a whole lot lately, but just hasn't really been any dramatic storms lately to really break down for you folks. But the entire southern tier of the country, for the most part, quiet. We have a ridge. If you notice, the moisture is kind of rounding up here, and then it kind of heads on back down. We will watch this area of rain a little bit later today, throughout the day into this afternoon, this evening, as it does bring some rain shower opportunities for areas of the Great Lakes area. But big ridge built over the middle of the country temperatures will warm pretty dramatically today. Watches, mornings, and advisories. Man, we had some ridiculous winds yesterday in the Carolinas. I mean, it was very odd. I got home, winds were gusting like 40 miles per hour, like a tropical storm outside. And then I watched a movie with my family, and I walked outside at like 8:30, and it's dead calm. Like no breeze at all, not even one leaf moving out there. It was a very weird, windy day out there, but we're still going to deal with the winds across the eastern U.S. where you do have those wind advisories. We got these kind of red flag warnings kind of scattered about out here. We do have those winter weather advisories where there is some snow flying around in western New York State. High wind watches up for a couple counties in Texas, several counties in New Mexico ahead of a upper trough, upper low that's going to move in. That's going to create all that severe weather over the middle of the country. Wind advisories, one high wind warning up for areas of Nevada, California. Winter weather advisories up for the Sierra Nevada, higher elevations of California. Excessive rainfall outlook today. We do have a marginal risk, at least a 5% risk of rainfall exceeding flash flood guidance. But I don't think this is going to be a huge deal at all today. Overall, flash flooding risk is very low. Storm Prediction Center. We do have a risk of some thunderstorms across the Great Lakes region as a very weak system kind of flies to the north with a ridge built over this region. So most of the energy is kind of cruising way up north. It's almost to that ridge season where that becomes a dominant topic in the summer for sure. It's always a good learning lesson about the ridge of high pressure because, the summer obviously kind of cruises right into the heart of hurricane season, and breaking down ridges and things like that, ridge of high pressure, is a big, big, big topic when breaking down where hurricanes are going to go. So it's always cool how it oozes in one thing into another there. But we do have, and I mentioned Idaho earlier. Idaho was really yesterday, but we do have a level 1 out of 5 risk right in the heart of Oregon. So we do have a very small risk of some strong to severe storms. So we will watch out for that. Overall, I don't think this is going to be a big deal at all. But we will fly through today's forecast. There's a couple of these areas we won't spend long on all, southeast included. Today, it's a beautiful start to your Saturday morning. I mean, just picture perfect spring, April morning. But we're getting through the afternoon hours. We're getting to the evening hours, getting into overnight hours. There ain't nothing going on. Just a beautiful, phenomenal day out there with temperatures getting well into the 70s, even some low 80s out there. So enjoy your day. In the southeast, I know I'll be out there probably maybe getting a little bit of sun. Might hit about 80 degrees here locally here in central South Carolina. So that's always good. Now the northeast, you're going to continue to deal with some wraparound moisture. But I do think things will begin to clear out, in the western sections of the northeast. And things will just basically clear out from west to east. But, as you're getting into about midday, you'll continue to deal with some lingering rain showers as you're trying to get this lower pressure on out the way. But it finally is scooting on out the way. But once again, you'll still deal with some rain showers out there in interior New England, northeast region. Maybe some higher elevation snow showers up in the Adirondacks. Maybe same thing with the Green and White Mountains. Dealing with a little pesky shower activity up here in Maine. Hit or miss for sure is the common theme. But you then get into the wee hours of the morning, Sunday morning, and we have this quick moving system that affects areas of Ontario, a very small section of Quebec up here, southern Ontario. And then you're greeted with some more rain, maybe heavy at times in like Buffalo, western New York, as this quick moving system could bring a line of thunderstorms to greet you guys for your Sunday morning in the same areas that are getting some snow this morning. And this will kind of set the stage for enough lift in the atmosphere for some thunderstorms right in here as this energy kind of flies to the north right here. So for the most part, though, the northeast, it's no crazy weather or anything like that. Just some pesky cloud cover, rain showers, even higher elevation snow showers. South central U.S., enjoy your nice day. Ahead of, a pretty powerful storm system on the way. We get into this evening, nothing's going on. We get into the overnight hours all the way into Sunday morning. Nothing to speak on. So sorry to only give you guys your 20 seconds there, if that was even 20 seconds, but there's just not anything to talk about today. Saturday morning, waking up, not a whole lot going on in the north central U.S. Some showers could move into northeastern sections of Minnesota with this same system that's going to get going across southern Ontario a little bit later tonight. It's going to bring that rain we just talked about for the northeast tomorrow morning. Could get some rain showers in the UP of Michigan later on this afternoon, especially the eastern UP of Michigan. Some spotty showers are possible across northern and northeastern Wisconsin. And then as we get into the middle of the night tonight, we start to see a more strengthening sort of northern piece of energy up here. You see this low pressure developing right into here, rounding the upper portion of this ridge. Showers are going to take over most of northern lower Michigan. A lot of shower activity in the UP of Michigan. And could get some heavy rain overnight too, maybe a quick 1/4 inch of rain or so in northern lower Michigan. But by the time you're waking up for your Sunday morning, this is clearing on out and you're waking up to quiet conditions again, just like you are this morning for most of this area. So that's it for that. The western U.S., most of everybody is pretty quiet, but you can obviously see the eyesore right here. This system spinning around, bringing rounds of rain into California, higher elevation snow. This will get some thunderstorms going here. If you look really closely, some thunderstorms are possible in eastern Oregon, central Oregon. So definitely be aware of that. Kind of a weird flow out there. Well, it'll kind of wrap in from the southeast and move northwest. But you continue to see this spin right here, spinning around, bringing kind of just rounds of showers, even some storms across California. And on the cold side of this, we could get some snow that's beginning to fall overnight tonight across northern California into tomorrow morning. But a little bit closer look at this system. Just more of a kind of a consolidated push, kind of congealed push of rain will move in throughout the morning, early afternoon hours into basically the entire state of California. I think LA to San Diego is going to be quiet for the most part this morning. But you could start to get the increased risk of some showers down here later on this afternoon, this evening. You see the higher elevation snow falling in the Sierra Nevada. After this, just like it always is with these spinning cyclones out here, you get the main push of rain, and then you kind of get just a spotty convective feed into the California coastline. Could bring some thunderstorms for San Francisco overnight tonight, and kind of just around more so the central California coastline. And then as we get to tomorrow morning, we continue to get this feed. But you notice, like the Southern California coastline, not going to get near as much rain with this, at least over the next 24 hours. Rainfall over the next 24 hours is just precipitation. Definitely could get, 1, 2, maybe 3 inches of rain, especially along the Central California coastline. Just kind of more spotty in nature once you get to the bigger cities of Southern California, like LA down to San Diego. No more than probably 2/10 of an inch of rain, if that, down here. Definitely not as much rain. But you look at snowfall, certainly several inches of snow is possible in the Sierra Nevada. We kind of keep this going. Northern sections of California, even certain areas of Nevada could get some hefty snowfall accumulations. Nothing too crazy at all, though. Temperatures today, northeast, I think this moisture will clear on out, but you're still going to be left with a very, very chilly day. I mean, interior sections of the northeast, just 30s for highs, 40s for highs. You'll be warmer in Maine than you will to areas like to the southwest because you're kind of socked in clouds and moisture. But once you get out the influence of this, basically this area of lower pressure, it really turns out to be a very nice day very fast. I mean, Missouri, Iowa, Mississippi Valley area, 70s and 80s. You get into the plains, guys, 80s and low 90s. Southeast, not too hot, not too cold at all. Temperatures in the 70s. Just a beautiful day. There's kind of like a happy medium right here, where you're only getting into the 60s, maybe low 70s in the sections of sort of the eastern Midwest and the Ohio Valley, but still not that bad of a day at all. Man, look how warm these temperatures are all the way up into Canada, Montana, North Dakota, 70s, low 80s. Look at this streak of low 90s. Potentially, I would not be surprised one bit. It gets all the way to 90 degrees up into South Dakota today. I wouldn't be surprised one bit. I think you're going to get widespread 80s up into Minnesota, and certainly even a nice day out west. But of course, with this moisture, cloud cover, temperatures will be held down in California. So it'll kind of... If this area of low pressure was not here, then you would have a much better day, but you're just dealing with the clouds and low pressure here. All right, so let's move to tomorrow. We do have a slight risk for tomorrow, day 2, your Sunday, level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather. This does include, the heart of PA, does include Pittsburgh and a very small section of eastern Ohio. Then you got a marginal risk that stretches from almost New York City, does include Binghamton, Scranton, all the way through the heart of Ohio, almost all the way to Indianapolis. Does include Cincinnati, Columbus, Dayton, Cleveland. So what is this driven off of? There is a 2% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location. So we need to be aware of that. Wind threat, 15% risk in the yellow area of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. And then the hail threat, 5% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger. So what's sort of driving the severe weather threat? Well, we'll go through this pretty quick. This is mid-level flow. So this entire area down here is being influenced by a ridge, but you get to the upper portion of the ridge, you get a flow, a loft that's typically moving from west to east. And sometimes it will move from northwest to southeast, depending on the side of the ridge you are, if it's sloping or not. But you're waking up tomorrow, steady mid-level flow, 50, 60 knots. Nothing unusual about this, but you kind of keep on going into the afternoon hours, daytime heating, and a steady flow moving right over these regions. And basically you can see where the flow kind of goes from, pretty steady, 50 to 60 knots to much lower down here. So this is basically where your flow is, up here on the upper portion of the ridge. So there's enough flow right in here with enough moisture right in here to lead to some thunderstorm development. So that's exactly what it's going to do in this region, and this flow continues throughout the evening hours. And if you look really closely, you'll have some impulses in the mid flow right here, where you can see it kind of almost eating up that mid-level flow. But those are your storms developing right here, sort of a mid-level pulse that dives down. If you look at these lines right in here and you see how they buckle, that's embedded areas of energy. We will speak heavily on this in the summertime. It's always a cool topic of learning here. But if you look at the low-level moisture, nothing too substantial, but you get into the afternoon hours, you get these pools of dew points into the upper 50s, even low 60s back here. So there is just enough moisture, and you see this pooling of moisture right here along the Ohio, PA state line into West Virginia also. Dew points creeping into the low 60s, so that is certainly supportive for severe weather. You kind of have this slither of low-level moisture getting yanked in almost from the southwest into this region. You got plenty of moisture. I wouldn't say plenty, but you do have supportive thermodynamics for severe weather. So what does the radar potentially look like tomorrow in Ohio and PA? We'll talk about Ohio first. Well, if you look at the latest long-range HRRR model, heck, it takes all the way into like tomorrow, late afternoon, evening, to really get any storms firing up. And here's some storms firing up here in like northeast Ohio. Then they quickly drift into PA. There are a couple storms firing up here, north of Columbus. This is around 10, 11 p.m. tomorrow. And then they kind of drift through. These could produce, very small tornado risk, some gusty winds, small hail. And then they kind of drift all the way into northern West Virginia as you get into the middle of the night. And this is as far out as the HRRR model goes. So we might get some storms late tomorrow night in northern West Virginia. But then you switch to Pennsylvania, which I think is going to be much more active. We'll kind of go back a little bit. And we'll take it all the way into Sunday morning. There's a first little piece of energy. Could deliver some thunderstorms all the way into northeast PA tomorrow morning. But then the atmosphere clears out. There's some energy. And look how this energy kind of dives in from the north from New York State. And we got this line of storms that gets going. And along this boundary, we could have embedded spin-ups. Maybe a little tornado threats in central and central and west central PA. So we need to watch these storms that kind of dive down, begin to affect Pittsburgh, the State College area, and pretty much anywhere in central PA. Needs to be aware of some strong to severe storms tomorrow. These will actually dive down, start to affect New Jersey late tomorrow afternoon, really tomorrow evening, and could make it all the way down to the Delmarva region before they really diminish with the loss of daytime heating. So definitely be aware of this. We'll break this down again in the videos to come. But certainly Monday is the big threat, and Tuesday is too. Monday we have an enhanced risk of severe weather. So we have a level 3 out of 5 in this orange risk. This is no real new story or anything like this. We've had an enhanced risk since when was it, like Tuesday or Wednesday? Well, about Wednesday, since day 6. So, or it might have been day 7. But anyways, I don't want to get hung up on that too long, but level 3 out of 5 risk in the orange area, level 2 out of 5 in the yellow area, level 1 out of 5 a marginal risk in the dark green. So this is a big deal. What is this driven off of? All we know is that there is a 30% risk of severe weather within 25 miles in a given location in the red area. There's a 15% risk of it in the yellow area. But if you notice, we have a hatched risk area that extends all the way from west central Texas all the way up to a pretty big portion of Nebraska and includes large chunks of Oklahoma and Kansas. So this means, as of now, there's a 10% risk of There's a 10% risk of significant severe weather within 25 miles of any given location. That could be tornadoes, hail, or damaging winds. I was reading this the storm prediction discussion down there, and they really mentioned the threat of very, very large hail. So they didn't really necessarily say that's what's going to be driving this, but I do think that'll be one of the higher risk things for Monday is very, very large hail. But you're going to have a risk of tornadoes and damaging winds also, no doubt about it. But how high end of a tornado risk is this going to be? That's a big question. And then we shift into Tuesday. Pretty large 15% risk area, basically a slight risk at day 4 in this yellow area. Okay, this means in the yellow area, if you live here, this goes all the way to almost Milwaukee, does include Chicago, Des Moines, Peoria. Includes the entire state of Illinois, pretty much, Missouri, might as well say the entire state of Arkansas, all the way into eastern Oklahoma, northeast Texas, small section of Mississippi, Kentucky, Indiana, Louisiana, slight risk. So we'll see if this upgrades. As of now, 15% risk of severe weather within 25 miles in a given location. What's driving this? So the area in orange, that's high pressure. Area in blue, that's low pressure. This area in orange is that ridge we've been talking about. This is really what's driving such warm temperatures across the middle of the country, especially temperatures in the 80s and 90s. But this area in low pressure is kind of an upper mid-level, it's pretty much just an upper low, just an area of low pressure. Think of it like this. So as we are moving, this is in Monday morning, so the 15th, this thing is moving, and as it's moving, we have this area of mid-level flow riding at the base of this area of low pressure into like that. And this is also helping to yank low-level moisture ahead because the flow around this lower pressure goes like this. We talk a lot on this during hurricane season. So we got this mid-level flow, mid-level jet running right at the base of this, right at the eastern side of this area of low pressure. This is creating what we call a mid-level jet, creating just a lot of flow aloft for lift for thunderstorms, creating a lot of lift for thunderstorm development. There will be no shortage of that whatsoever. Okay? Get this back off your screen. You keep moving here. And as we start to get into our Tuesday, if you notice, this begins to get a bit of a negative tilt to it. Okay, it's telling us that this is beginning to strengthen. At the same time, it's doing the exact same thing, folks. And let me move this a little bit more. Definitely showing a negative tilt here. It's beginning to tilt to the right, which means we have a negatively tilted trough at this point. This is fully ejecting and strengthening. And it's the same thing, guys. This is bringing that flow right into this region and lifting up, probably at this point, a pretty skinny little corridor of low-level moisture, thermodynamics that's going to support severe weather. So this little blue blob right here is what's going to cause all the havoc with severe weather Monday and Tuesday. Okay? Now, another way you can look at it is the actual mid-level flow. Okay? Basically the screen you just looked at was just indicating lower pressure and higher pressure. So this is indicating mid-level flow, winds about, 16, 17, 18,000 feet up in the air. So as we're getting going, we're getting all the way into Monday morning. There it is. That's your storm system right here. You notice how it's kind of cut off from this flow up here? This is fully cut off. This is a fully cut off upper mid-level low that's just riding and doing its thing. And they're very slow when they get fully cut off from the northern stream. And that's why it creates 2 days worth of severe weather. But as this starts to get into Monday afternoon, you notice all this flow. Remember, I was kind of drawing at the base of this lower pressure on the last screen. Here it comes. You got this, what we call exit region right here. This is where all our thunderstorms will develop, most likely along a dry line. So all the best lift for thunderstorms are right into here. And you can see you got this 50, 60, 70 knot mid-level jet. And then we start to take it into the middle of the night, Monday night to Tuesday morning. That flow begins to increase And then we take it all the way into Tuesday afternoon. You got a pretty intense mid-level flow going from Texas, eastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, to Missouri, all the way up into the Midwest, basically. So you can see this area right here, 80 to 90 knots, tons of wind energy. You're probably going to have a significant wind threat Tuesday for sure, and probably overnight Monday into Tuesday also. So there's a lot of wind energy with this, plenty of lift for thunderstorms. So certainly going to have a severe weather threat for Tuesday also. The next thing you look at here is thermodynamics. In this case, low level moisture dew points. As you can already tell, you're getting into this afternoon. You got plenty of moisture already starting to build up. Dew points in the 50s, I mean, is a pretty decent amount of moisture for the plains. But, once you get in the 60s and 70s, totally different story. It really starts to increase that severe weather threat. But, you're starting to get into Sunday. You're really starting to get the building of a moist sector down here in Texas and even into, Oklahoma. And then by the time you get into Sunday afternoon, look at this intense moisture building. Dew points well into the 60s, even up some pools, maybe low 70s in Texas. And this is really setting the stage. A lot of times with these severe weather threats in the plains, you get these kind of sectors of moist air that really have to build ahead of this all in one day, or sometimes just 12 hours. You wake up, it's very crisp out there. There's no real moist air in the atmosphere, and then the atmosphere dramatically changes throughout the late morning and afternoon hours, setting the stage for severe weather. Happens a lot like in March, early April across the deep south. This will be a different story. I think for a lot of these areas, as we start to get into Monday and then Monday afternoon, for example, this is Monday morning. You're already going to feel like severe weather's coming across Oklahoma, areas of Texas, all the way up into Kansas when you're waking up Monday morning. You're going to wake up, walk outside, and you're like, dang, the air feels really moist. So the moisture already is building a couple days before this. This is why this could be a higher end event. Monday afternoon, dew points are getting just sitting here well into the 60s, into Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and it'll probably build a little bit more into Nebraska throughout the evening hours. But you can see this intense dry line. Amarillo, dew point of around 15, but you just go about an hour east and dew points are into the 60s. So that's a pretty intense dry line. You're probably going to get supercells that develop along that. And they're just starting to build into Nebraska later in the evening. And then you get into your Tuesday morning. Dews are getting all the way into the 60s, all the way up into Iowa, areas of South Dakota. And then we get into Tuesday afternoon. You got plenty of low-level moisture building all the way into the Midwest, setting the stage for a severe weather day, no doubt, for Tuesday. So one of the last things you'll look at is the CAPE levels. And, folks, there's going to be a lot of CAPE in the atmosphere. CAPE being your storm energy, storm fuel. This is already Monday afternoon. CAPE levels on the Euro already showing up well over 2,000 joules per kilogram in these areas. And they'll probably increase as you get later in the afternoon to the evening. You got pockets of over 3,000 joules per kilogram in CAPE. Plenty of storm energy that's going to be there overnight. And once these storms get going, it'll eat up all this energy. And then we start to move into Tuesday afternoon. You see this more so skinny corridor of CAPE, but even 1,000, 1,500 joules per kilogram with so much kinematic flow in the atmosphere that I think will actually increase for Tuesday compared to Monday. You are definitely going to have a severe weather threat, even with lower CAPE in this area. This is still a good bit for the overlapping of these ingredients that we will have for sure. Check out this little skinny corridor right in here. We'll have to watch out for storms also all the way down to Texas through Arkansas, Missouri in this region too. And we're not really in range of short range model guidance, guys. So all I can really do is show you the Euro. But you get into Monday evening, there's not much thunderstorm development. You can see that surface low developing with the strengthening and amplification of this trough. You see a couple cells down here. These could be supercells. But it really takes, as you get into after the sun sets Monday, for these storms to really start erupting. You see these cells down here, these thunderstorms here in Kansas, thunderstorms up here in Nebraska, Iowa. And then once you start to get deeper into the overnight hours, really more so the wee hours of the morning, that's when the Euro really shows these thunderstorms becoming a lot more widespread. So I can tell you, the global models are not going to handle this well. So I wouldn't be surprised one bit. We get in range of the HRRR model, a little bit deeper in the range of NAM. It's gonna show more more thunderstorms developing more Monday evening for sure. But we start to move into Tuesday afternoon. There's those thunderstorms all the way down to Arkansas. You can't see Texas. We'll zoom into all these areas that I'm missing here for Tuesday in later videos, I promise. But you want to watch these storms right here. They're right up against the surface low. They will probably have a ton of wind energy with them. And definitely Tuesday is going to be a pretty active day. Look at that line of storms working in Tuesday evening across areas of the Midwest up here. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all, and y'all have a wonderful Saturday.